Bristol City last year had a lacklustre season of football, finishing mid-table in the Championship. But to be fair, they've had a solid start to the new campaign as they've got 4 points out of 9 in their first 3 games of the season. So today I am becoming the new manager of Bristol City, and by the end of this video I'll be making them the best team in the world. So this is the starting 11 I've loaded into, and to be fair, Bristol City's team's not that bad. For starters, they've got no players currently out on loan, which is always a huge bonus. And in comparison to some teams, their squad is actually pretty young as well. And they've got some solid talent in the squad like new signing Jason Knight, Rob Atkinson, and their talisman up top, Andreas Weimann. But as you can see, looking at the starting 11, it's a bit of a mess. Everybody's all over the place. But there's some very good news is we've got 11 million to spend in season 1, and for a championship side, that's a pretty solid budget. But before we think about spending that money, we've got to sort this formation out. I think the 4-3-3 attacking variation is the way to go. We've got box-to-box midfielders and a couple of wingers. This is literally the perfect formation for Bristol City. And just look at the team now with a simple formation change. It looks so much better. Now we just have to figure out where to put this money. I want new midfielders in place of King and James. They're both over 30 years old, and I think they'll let the team down this year. And don't worry, I'm all over the winger situation, as Mark Sykes is only 4 weeks away from becoming one. So to be honest, once we get those midfielders in the team, I'm very happy to leave it as it is. And we are starting off strong as we're bringing in Southampton's Joe Aribo. He's 25 years old and already 74 overall. I think he'll definitely help the team out this season. And we have officially made our first transfer as Bristol City manager in Joe Aribo for 5.3 million. And for our second and probably final signing of the transfer window, Harry Winks from Leicester City, 73 rated at 26 years old. I think him and Aribo will tear it up in the Championship. And we have managed to secure Harry Winks on a 3-year deal for just 3.5 million. But I wasn't quite finished there as I sent out James Taylor, Sam Ball, Josh Owers, Eamon Benarous, and finally Tommy Conway. Now I've got high hopes for Conway because if you remember a takeover I did, I think it was with Bradford, you know what a goal machine this guy turns out to be. And Mark Sykes training to be a winger is now complete, and he's going to turn into a 70 overall winger. Now that is a very nice surprise. And with that, my transfer window's done, and this is the starting 11 that's going to go into season 1. And as you can see, half the team has actually improved already, and that's a very good sign of things to come. But to be honest, I'm not fussed about promotion this year. I want our players to improve right now. I want our loan players to definitely improve, and next year maybe we'll push for promotion. But having said that, a team like this in the Championship, I think we're destined to have a good season. Well boys, we've just arrived in June, and you ain't going to believe this, we're 5th in the league at the end of this season in the playoffs alongside Norwich, Southampton and Middlesbrough. Now I did say I wasn't fussed about promotion, but with the opportunity we've got now, we'd be daft not to go for it. And we've absolutely slapped Southampton in the semi-final. We're in the final against Norwich. Wembley Stadium, Bristol City versus Norwich City. Who is going to get promotion back to the Premier? Oh my god. You know what? I'm not actually mad at that. That would have been an insane final to watch in real life. Don't get me wrong, I'm slightly gutted we lost, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, just look at how much this team has improved already, and this is only season 1, for God's sake. Imagine our 4th or 5th season with Bristol City. And just look at these stats: 31 and 3 for Andres Weimann, 28 and 5 for Mark Sykes, and 14 and 5 for my mate Anis Mehmeti. And you guys remember those players are sent on loan? Well, look at all of the improvements in these players, man. Not a single one of these loan players has not improved. So in season 1, we unintentionally got the playoffs. Our team has massively improved, and some of the loan players are almost ready to go into the starting 11. I'd say that's a pretty decent start. But next year, we're going all in. We're going to make some really good signings, and we're going for automatic promotion. But before we go any further, did you guys know I've now got a Discord server and I've got a second channel? The links to both will be in the description and the comment section down below. And once we hit 1,000 subscribers on the second channel, I'll begin uploading. So if you guys want more content, make sure you hit that subscribe button on that second channel. So we're now into season 2 with Bristol City after a very successful first year in charge of them. And looking at that team, it's obvious where the weak points are in the squad. Firstly, we need a better centre-back than Callis and a right-back than Tanner. They are obviously the weakest links in the team, and once we sort those positions out, we've got a good shot at promotion. And for a Championship side, this budget is incredible. 21 million in season 2. I've got a feeling we might make more than 2 signings in this transfer window. And starting with the fullback, I'm going for Kevin Mbabu from Fulham. He is 75 rated at 28 years old. I think he'll massively improve our defensive lineup. And for £4.5 million, we have signed Kevin Mbabu on a 4-year deal. And joining Kevin Mbabu with Bristol City will be Jake Cooper from Millwall. He's 6'6", 75 rated. I don't think anybody's going to beat this guy in the air. And for £3.5 million, he is joining Bristol City on a 3-year deal. And even after those transfers, we've still got £9 million left in our budget. And it's safe to say our defence is strong enough. Now it's just time to focus on one more position. I think we need a better keeper than O'Leary. He is 72 overall and did insane last year for us, but if we're serious about promotion, it wouldn't hurt having a better keeper in between the sticks. And boys, believe me, I have found the perfect goalkeeper for the job. Gavin Bazunu from Southampton, 21 years old and already 74 rated. We will turn this guy into an absolute monster. And for just over £8 million, we've signed Gavin Bazunu on a 5-year contract. And I've ended the transfer window by sending every single one of these guys out on loan. They improved really well last year, and whilst they won't get game time yet, it just makes sense to send them out again. But with that, our transfer window is complete, and this is how the starting 11 looks going into Season 2. Now, me personally, I think a team like this absolutely storms the Championship, so it would not surprise me in the slightest if we at least got the playoffs. But you guys know me, I'm greedy. I don't want the playoffs, I want automatic promotion. So we've reached the end of yet another season with Bristol City, and we are in the playoffs once again, this time with Sheffield United, Southampton and Watford. And we have made it past Southampton, beating them 4-3 in the semis, which means we are once again in the final. Deja vu, man, the same place only a year later, this time against a newly relegated Sheffield United. But are we strong enough this time to get the W, to get us promotion? We are! We're finally in the Premier League with Bristol City at long last. And I'm really not surprised, man. This team is way too good for the Championship. And those loan players really have improved this year again. Look at the improvement from every single one of them. Especially Tommy Conway. I'm very, very tempted to sack off all of our strikers and make him our talisman up top. But there's no doubt that our current striker knows how to score goals. 27-8 for Andreas Weimann, 19-8 for Anis Mehmeti, and 18-3 for Jason Knight. Well, it's taken us 2 seasons, but we've got Bristol City back in the Premier League. And after looking at the starting 11, I don't think we've got any worries about a relegation battle either. All I know is because of promotion, we're going to have a better budget to work with, and we've got a better chance of signing really good players to prepare us for Season 3. So we're now into our 3rd year in charge of Bristol City and our 1st year back in the Premier League. And like I said last season, I'm not worried about relegation at all. I think we're going to do pretty well this year. But looking at the starting 11 is obviously some improvements to be made. Now I'm going to keep Tommy Conway for a couple of seasons. He's 72 rated at 21 years old. I think it's pointless buying a new striker when we've got one primed and ready right here. I personally want a new midfielder in place of Winks and a couple of better centre-backs than Atkinson and Cooper. It's not for any other reason than the fact we need better players in those positions now. And with promotion comes a much better budget of £68 million to spend this year. And we are starting off strongest. We're signing centre-back Joseph Idu from Leeds United, 81 rated at 28 years old. He will massively improve our squad. And surprisingly, we got a great deal for Idu, as we only had to spend £22.5 million to bring him to Bristol City. And the centre-back joining that backline with Idu is going to be Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea, 78 rated at 24 years old. Things aren't really going too well at Chelsea right now, so a fresh start for him might be the best thing. And once again, we got a fantastic deal for Chalobah, only having to spend £15 million on the dot for him. And with those 2 signings, we massively improved that defensive lineup, but we still need a midfielder, and I know exactly who I'm bringing in. And if you guessed Alex Scott, you guessed absolutely right. He's 20 years old, 76 rated, a former Bristol City player, but I'm bringing him back home. And because he only had 12 months left on his contract, we only had to spend £14 million to bring him to Bristol City once again. And with that, our transfer window's done, which leaves the team looking like this heading into our 1st season in the Prem. Obviously, Conway does need to get some goals and improve throughout the season, but I've got no doubt in my mind that he'll do that. And I absolutely believe we're going to have no difficulty surviving the Premier League. I actually think we'll get a mid-table finish. So boys, we've just reached the end of Season 3, and we've done bloody well. 12th in the league in our 1st season in the Prem, nowhere near the relegation zone. And looking at the team, I'm not surprised. A couple of decent signings next year, we're pushing for top 10. And Tommy Conway is my favourite player on this game, man. 17 goals and 1 assist in 33 games. He just never lets me down. A 12th place finish in the Prem for a newly promoted side is pretty decent, and it's a fantastic benchmark to work from for a couple of seasons' time. And like I said, next year, budget depending of course, if we can improve our weaknesses, we're looking at a top 10 finish. bench. We are now going into season 4 with Bristol City, and looking at that starting 11, there's only 2 positions I really want to focus on. And to start off, I want a better left back than De Silva, reason being he's the weakest link in the team by a mile. And this next one will probably surprise you. I'd like a better keeper than Bazunu. Granted, he's 79 rated and he's not that old, but if we can get a better keeper now, we'll do way better this season. And to be fair, we've got a bigger budget than I anticipated, 47 million to spend this year. Something tells me sorting those positions out isn't going to be too much of a hassle. It started with the left back. I was thinking long term, and who better than Ian Matson from Palace at 81 rated at only 23 years old. This guy will be a machine for us. And we got an absolute bargain for Ian Matson, as we only had to spend 30.5 million to bring him to Bristol City. And our second and final transfer of this window is going to be Mark Flecken from Brentford. He's 32 years old and 81 rated. He's a much better keeper than Bazunu. And because he only had 12 months left on his contract, we managed to sign him for 8.5 million. And with that, our transfer window is complete, and this is the Bristol City team going into season 4. And honestly, after signing Flecken and Ian Matson, I've changed my mind. I don't think we're going to get top 10 football. There's a potential possibility that we can get European football this year. I might be completely wrong, but stranger things have happened in this game. Well, boys, we've just arrived in June and we've smashed it. We're 5th in the league at the end of this season, and we've actually got European football for season 5. To say I'm gassed about this is an absolute understatement. This team is really starting to come into its own now. A couple of decent signings next year, and we've got no weaknesses in that starting 11 anymore. And Tommy Conway once again delivers 20 goals in 7 and 40, 14 and 5 for Anis Mehmeti, 11 and 5 for Mark Sykes, and 10 and 5 for Jason Knight. I've got no words for this Bristol City team, man. They just get better every single year. And like I've just said, 2 more signings in 2 positions, and we've got no weaknesses in that starting 11 heading into Europe. So we're now in season 5 with Bristol City, and we are finally in Europe as well. And looking at this team, there's only 2 positions we really need to focus on. It's now time to replace Knight in that attacking midfielder position. He's been amazing for us since season 1, but right now, if we want to compete in Europe, we've got to get a better attacking midfielder. And we do need a better right back than Mbabu. He's in his early 30s now, and just like Knight, we do need somebody a bit better in this position. Once we sorted that out, like I said last season, there is no weakness in that starting 11. And believe me, we have got a lot of money to spend, 127 million this year. And with this money, you better believe I'm spending big on those 2 positions. And starting with the attacking midfielder, I want to make a statement by signing Aljif Almas from Manchester United, 26 years old, 85 rated. He will make a massive difference for us this year. And he's our most expensive signing yet, as we've just spent 57.95 million to bring him to Bristol City. And replacing Kevin Mbabu at that right back position is Arnel Martinez from Hoffenheim, 23 years old and already 83 rated. He will, just like Ian Matson, turn into an absolute monster. But Christ, Hoffenheim won't let him go easy, as we've just had to spend 52.5 million to bring him to Bristol City. And after signing those players and renewing everybody's contracts, we've only got 96,000 left in the budget, so that's our transfer window done. Which leaves the team looking like this going into season 5. And I'll be real, I am so excited for what this team can accomplish. We got top 6 football last year, so who knows what we can achieve this time. And of course, we are in the Europa League this time. We're in Group C alongside FC Midtjylland, SK Sturmgrass and Shamrock Rovers. Now, as for how I want to do in this competition, you guys know me, I'm bloody competitive. I want to win the Europa League and guarantee our spot in the Champions League for season 6. Well, we've just arrived in June, boys, and we've done terrible in the Prem. 9th in the league at the end of this season. To be fair, we were only 4 points outside the top 6, but realistically, with the team we've got, we should be getting top 4 now. And we actually made the semi-finals of the FA Cup, only losing out 3-2 to United. This is literally the first time we've got past the first round of this competition. But with us not doing well in the Prem or winning the FA Cup, we've got to pray to God we've done well in the Europa League. So we actually finished 2nd in the group stage, losing out to SK Sturmgrass. I mean, it's not the best start in the world, but at least we progressed. We just about made it past Feyenoord in the prelim round. This really isn't looking good for us. But then we swamped Stade Rennais in the round of 16. And we made it past Porto in the quarters. And we made it past Rangers in the semis. Boys, we're playing Chelsea in the final, but To be fair, it's Chelsea. This is probably where we lose. I can't believe we've actually done it, man. 2-1 in the final. We've beaten Chelsea to win the Europa League, and somehow we are in the Champions League in Season 6. I thought for sure Chelsea were going to batter us in the final. But looking at this team, no wonder we did well in Europe. It's bloody amazing. And it's Tommy Conway once again leading the show. 36 goals and 3 assists in 59. 11 and 9 for Mark Sykes. 10 and 4 for Anis Mehmeti. 9 and 8 for Joe Rebo. And 7 and 7 for Jason Knight. Elmas has had one of the worst seasons I've ever seen. 3 goal contributions in 40 games for a 50-odd million signing is genuinely horrific. If he don't do well next season, he's getting his arse sold. But back onto the positives. Whilst we did terrible in the Premier League, it doesn't matter because we won the Europa League and we are finally in the Champions League next season. So that means we're going to have an insane budget to work with, and we'll be able to bring in some of the best players in the world to give us the best chance of doing well in that competition. So we're now going into our 6th season in charge of Bristol City, and you boys know it already, we finally got Champions League football. But looking at the team, these 2 glaring weaknesses that we seriously need to sort out if we're going to do well in that competition. We need a better midfielder than Joe Aribo. Since season 1, he's actually impressed me with how well he's grown, but for the Champions League, he's not good enough. And we also need a better centre-back than Chalobah. Just like Joe Aribo, he's done well to grow as well as he has, but for the Champions League, I think it'll be a bit too much for him. And we have got less money to work with this season than we did last year, 110 million to spend, but I'm pretty certain that won't matter with the players I intend to bring in. So starting with the midfield, I'm bringing in Italian Davide Frattesi from Aston Villa, 27 years old, 84 rated. I think it's a no-brainer to bring this guy to the squad. And for 52.5 million, we have secured Davide Frattesi on a 4-year contract. And for our second and probably final signing of this window, Mark Guy from RC Lens. He's 26 years old and 84 rated, and just like Frattesi, this guy is a no-brainer. And we are indeed ending this transfer window by spending 44.5 million to bring Mark Guy to Bristol City, which now leaves the team looking like this heading into our 6th season in charge of Bristol City. Now don't get it twisted, we probably won't win the Champions League this year, but we'll definitely put a dent in that competition. But we have to recover our form in the Premier League. 9th place for this team just isn't good enough. But we do have an early opportunity silverware as we're facing Villarreal in the Super Cup, and somehow they won the Champions League, which really does bode well for us this year. What's the score going to be? Who's going to win? We win the Super Cup! Come on! We've just beaten last year's Champions League winners. And speaking of the Champions League, we've been put into Group B alongside Dortmund, Benfica and Celtic. Now, to be fair, Dortmund will probably be the odds-on favourites to top the group, but as long as we make it through to the next round, I couldn't care less. So we've just arrived in January, and this is much better. We're 4th in the league halfway through the season, and to be fair, we are still within a shot of winning the Premier League. And we've just made it out to Group B, and we are going to the round of 16. And I'll give you guys 3 guesses on who you think the top goal scorer is. Yep, you guessed it, Tommy Conway. 22 goals and 5 assists in 30 games. He's just a one-man show. And with only 4 million in our budget, there's not really anything we can do with that money, which does leave the starting 11 looking like this going into the knockouts. And I have to admit, prior to the season starting, I didn't think it was capable of getting to the final, but looking at the team now, I don't see any reason why we can't get there. If we get quite lucky with our fixtures, who knows how far we can get. And first up in the round of 16 is RB Leipzig. Now, they definitely aren't the best team to come up against, but in the same token, they aren't the worst. They do have a ridiculous team though right now, so this is going to be a pretty tough round of 16 tie. It's home in the first leg, and it is a 1-1 draw. It goes to the second leg to decide the winner. I am pretty confident we can win this game. We've got an insane team now. RB Leipzig have got a good team, but I think we are a little bit too strong for them. Conway, honestly, my love for that man grows every single second. And up next in the quarterfinal is the Bottle Jobs themselves. Now, this is one team I refuse to lose to. If we lose against these guys, I am not gonna... No, bro, why are we even drawing against them? So first Sykes was suspended in the first game, and now Mehmeti suspended for the second game. We hadn't better lose this, man. I'm not gonna be... I cannot freaking believe it. Oh, I'm never going to hear the end of this, am I? That has not just happened, man. I can't believe we've just lost to the Bottle Jobs. The only slightly redeeming factor from this season is if we get top 4 football this year. Anything lower than that, I'm considering scrapping this entirely. So we've just skipped ahead to the end of the season, and thankfully we have got top 4 football, meaning we are once again in the Champions League next year. And having a closer look at the table, if we'd have won one more game, we'd have won the league on goal difference, man. That's unreal. And we once again made it to the semis of the FA Cup, this time losing to bloody Wolves of all teams. Gotta say though, boys, this team is looking good, and I think I know exactly what we need to do next year to get to that final. Tommy Conway, every single year, is a goal machine. 49 goals in 9 assists in 57 games. I know everybody else has scored a lot of goals, but that is truly something special. So we made top 4 in the Prem, the semis of the FA Cup, and the quarters of the Champions League. All in all, I would say it's a pretty good season, aside from the fact we lost to the bloody bottle jobs in the Champions League. Next year, I don't care who we come across in the Champions League, we have to batter every single one of them. We're now into Season 7 with Bristol City, and I know exactly where I want to improve this squad. For the starting 11, I need a new centre-back and a goalkeeper. Replacing Flecken's just common sense because he's 35 years old now and his overall's going to dwindle. And the same applies for Josie Fardu. Just like Flecken, he's getting on a bit now and his overall will dwindle as well. But that's all I want to do for the starting 11. The rest of the transfers I want to be on the subs bench. We need a better backup striker than Bell, and we definitely need a better winger because we've literally only got the 2 good ones in the starting 11. The rest are terrible. But I don't think we've got any issues sorting that out, as we've got just under 200 million to spend in Season 7. And starting with the centre-back, I'm going for Bremer from Man City, 86 rated at 31 years old. I think he'll do the job for us. And because he only had 12 months left on his contract, we got an absolute bargain, only having to spend 37 million to bring him to Bristol City. And replacing Mark Flecken in goal is Aaron Ramsdale from Arsenal, 86 rated at 30 years old. I couldn't think of anybody better than him. And once again, we got an absolute bargain, only having to spend 45.8 million on him. So that's the starting 11 taken care of. Now we just need to focus on the subs bench. And I've just realised we need a better fullback because Tanner cannot do the job that Arnau Martinez and Ian Matson can do. But we do still have 93 million to spend, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. So for that winger role, I decided to bring in Matchoy Jello for 30 million. For the backup fullback, I went for Julian Aud, who cost 22.5 million. And finally, for the backup striker, I went for Liam Delap, who cost 22.7 million. And with that, the transfer window is now done, and the team now looks like this heading into Season 7. I'm honestly buzzing with this team, man. We've got a shot at winning absolutely everything with the quality we got on that squad. And we are, of course, once again in the Champions League in Group C alongside PSG, Porto and Sparta Praha. Now, PSG are obviously the favourites to top the group, but as long as we go through to the round of 16 again, I couldn't care less what they do. Well, boys, we've just arrived in January and we're 4th in the league halfway through the season, but a title race I think is a bit out the question. Liverpool are running riot this year. And we've once again made it through to the round of 16, but we were very close to topping the group. And for once, it's not just Conway getting the goals. 18 and 2 for him, 12 and 3 for Anis Mehmeti, and 10 and 11 for Alex Scott. And I did everything I wanted to do in the first transfer window, so this is the starting 11 that's going to go into the knockouts once again. Now, last year we got to the quarters before getting knocked out by the bottle jobs. I still can't believe that happened. This year, however, the squad is far better than what it was last year, so I'm hoping that we can get just a little bit further. And after battering Ajax in the round of 16 and just scraping past Liverpool in the quarters, we are now in the semi-final. And in that semi-final is Manchester City. Now, I'm not too fussed about this because, as we've all seen, Liverpool were running riot in the Premier League and we've just knocked them out. So realistically, we should be knocking out Manchester City right here, right now, and that's a very good start. Conway with a hat. Honestly, Conway is the best player on this game. We're 1 game away from the final, boys. A good result here, and we've actually done... Oh my God, we've beaten them back to back. Boys, 5-3 on aggregate, and we have beaten Manchester City. We've knocked them out, and we are cruising to that final. And I swear to God, you could have a million guesses, but you still wouldn't guess who we've got in the final. No? Feyenoord. Like, how the hell have they pulled that one off? But heading back over to the Premier League, we were 3rd in the league at the end of this season, only 5 points off Liverpool. And once again, Tommy Conway is an absolute god. 41 goals and 2 assists in 55 games. Can someone please comment down below how many goals and assists Conway's got to this point? I'd absolutely love to know. And Bremer is an absolute muppet, man. He's got himself suspended for the final. We can instead play Schellebar, but I'd have much preferred to have Bremer in that starting 11. But just look at this team, man. The best part is 4 of these players are actually OG Bristol City players. 87 rated Sykes, 88 rated Alex Scott, 91 rated Mehmeti, and 92 rated Conway, man. You just can't beat that, can you? And I know Alex Scott wasn't an OG Bristol City player, but he's literally just left to join Bournemouth in real life. I think we can let that pass. And you know what? I'm going to play the final. I've really enjoyed building this Bristol City team, so I think it'd be a shame if I didn't actually personally get to use it. Now, it's true we haven't won many trophies with Bristol City so far, but we've got the chance to win the most prestigious trophy you can win win at club level the Champions League. Sykes is on the ball. Right back to start this rebuild with, and he's turned out to be a half-decent winger. Scott's on the ball. Oh, that would have been a great goal. Alex Scott on the ball. He's dinked one in back post. Oh, my God. Martinez with the header. Great save. Alex Scott for the corner. He's taking it. That's a great ball. If anyone can get their hands on it, and we... Oh, my God. We have just scored a very rare corner goal. Mehmeti, take a bow, lad. Sykes is on the ball. Almas, he sees Conway. Conway, oh, I'd love it if he could get a goal. Get a goal. Oh, come on. He is one player I really want to get a goal with. Mehmeti's on the ball now. He's pushing forward. He's going in between the defenders. My God. This keeper's keeping Feyenoord in this game, man. Oh, no, Feyenoord are in. Oh, my God. Wow, from absolutely dominating him in the first half to drawing with them in the second, man. That is quite the turnaround. When Mehmeti's picked it up on the halfway line, we've got a chance for a counter-attack here. If we can get past Kyle Walker-Peters, this shouldn't be too difficult. We see that run from Almas. Almas, please, put it away. He's done it. 79th minute, we go 2-1 up with a beautiful through ball. And that could be the game. Mehmeti's picked it up. Oh, we've got a chance to kill the game dead. Nope. Sykes, please. Oh, come on, man. Sykes deserves a goal. Mehmeti once again. Can he find that run from Conway? Conway's in behind. So, what? Pen ref? Ref? No? It doesn't matter whether it was or not. The fact of the matter is, the full-time whistle's gone. We have beaten Feyenoord 2-1 and we've made Bristol City the best team in the world. It's taken us 7 seasons to do it, but we created an absolute monster of a side once again with them. And if you're still here, thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed that, you should click on the left side of this screen to watch another one, and on the right side of the screen to subscribe to the channel and my second channel as well.